let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it, because I may not get another chance. I believe it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. Done with falling, done with losing, I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again, I can do it. Yeah. And I'm not gonna stop till I win, 'cause it's my time to rise. Hey, it's my time to shine. Oh, it's my time to live. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. Oh, it's my time. It's my time. She's a diva, yeah. She's a diva full of drama. Don't believe her. Hearing things that people saying got you twisted. So much fiction, not much bad. Got you twisted. And ain't nobody got time for that. See, my moment has now arrived, and I won't let it pass me by. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. Oh, it's my time. It's my time. I decided that I was gonna be living and happy, and my best days are still in front of me. Everything will be alright, 'cause now it's time for me. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to live. It's my time. It's my time. Oh, my time. It's my time to soar. It's my time to. It's my time to be. It's my time to show. It's my time.
Hey everybody, what's up? What's good? This is your girl, Dr. Najuma, and thank you for being on air with your girl, Dr. Najuma. So glad to have you tuned in with us on this wonderful Sunday evening. God bless you. God bless you. Blessings, blessings, and many more blessings to all of you that are on our YouTube. Hey, YouTubers, our live tubers, and then to everyone that's listening, Accelerator Radio, iHeart, iTunes Radio. We love you just the same. Thank you for being tuned in. Y'all know the drill. Tweet, text, Facebook, Snapchat. I don't care what you do, but let somebody know that we are on live with your girl, Dr. Najuma, and we're going to have a great conversation tonight. And so let somebody know to tune in. All of you that are watching on YouTube, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. Like, share, and subscribe. All right, so let's get into it tonight. As you may see, I am wearing my pink with shirt that says, I Believe God. So today was our Breast Cancer Awareness Sunday. And we had an amazing service today. So let me back up a little bit. I'm Reverend Dr. Najuma Smith. Not only am I the host of this show on Live with Dr. Najuma, but I'm also the proud pastor of Word of Encouragement Church here in Los Angeles, California. And so today was and shout out to Word of Encouragement Church, whoop whoop. And so today was our Breast Cancer Awareness Sunday. And so everybody was dressed in pink, and we had an amazing service. Shout out to my girl, Miss Nisa Shanae, gospel singer, gospel artist, Miss Nisa Shanae. She came in and just blessed us with song. And then shout out to all the survivors in the room. We had an amazing service. Thank you to those that shared their testimonies. And what we are clear about is that there are many forms, many kinds of cancers, and I'm not a specialist on cancer whatsoever, but I do recognize that it is definitely a common battle in our communities, and the numbers are on the rise, especially with Black women between the ages of 35 and 60, and so that this is why it was important for us today to have this conversation, but also to do what? Believe God for healing, believe God for turnaround, believe God for restoration. So we had an amazing service and we were able to do that. And so just shout out to Word of Encouragement Church for an amazing time. But tonight, just want to have a short conversation with you all. I have a special event coming up and I want to talk about it. Because it is part of my journey. For those that are joining me for the very first time, who've never seen one of our shows or part of our conversation, this month, at the end of the month, will mark 5 years since my son's life was taken. And one of the things that we had hoped to do, or had decided to do, let me say that, is to honor his life by lifting up other mothers who have lost children to some kind of to gun violence or street violence. And so I'm gonna talk about that tonight because we're having a breakfast on October 28th. And at that breakfast, we're going to be honoring mothers, celebrating mothers who have had a similar journey to mine. And we're calling it Sisters of RIZPAH. So I want to break down what that means. I want to share that with you all. And then I want to make an invitation for anyone if you're in the LA area, or if you're not in the LA area, I want to invite you to connect with me. We are launching on the 28th, Sisters of RIZPAH. So let's take a little lesson about who is RIZPAH. So in the Old Testament, there's a story of a woman named RIZPAH, R-I-Z-P-A-H. And RIZPAH had 2 sons. And at that time, the climate, it was a political climate, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. But the political climate created a situation where RIZPAH's sons and the sons of another woman were actually taken captive and killed. They were taken captive and killed. And her sons, or the sons, their bodies were just put on display to prove a point. It was a political ploy, a very grotesque one, of course. And so their bodies were put on display for all to see. And RIZPAH, as a grieving and mourning mother, the Bible says that she positions herself over the bodies of her sons, and she stays there with their bodies in whatever the weather was like at the time, and to ward off the vultures, right? Because the bodies were left bare outside, and they were, vulnerable for attack by vultures. And so the story goes that RIZPAH sat out, covered the bodies, made sure that the vultures never got to the bodies of her sons, and I'm assuming the sons of the other sons, bodies that were out there. David was so moved by what he heard RIZPAH was doing, is that he goes to he orders that the bodies of these murdered young boys receive proper burial. And I'm paraphrasing the story, but I'm getting to a point here. He paraphrased, so he orders that the bodies of these sons, upon hearing how RIZPAH is maintaining station by the bodies, the corpse, if you will, of her son and the other sons that were taken, lives were taken, and to ward off the vultures by herself. She didn't have an entourage. She didn't have a team. She didn't have assistants. She didn't have a community. She was out there by herself, warding off the vultures, off the bodies of her son and the other bodies that were there. And this is how she spent her time grieving. And again, as I said, David hears about this, and he goes and he orders that all of these boys receive a proper burial. And then the text says something really interesting. And then God healed the land. So there was something going on in the land, right? That the land was not producing what it should have been producing. It wasn't necessarily a complete famine, but the land wasn't producing. But when David ensures that RIZPAH's sons receive a just burial, Bible says that the land is healed and it starts producing again. And again, I'm paraphrasing the story. And I lift this up for a couple reasons. Number one, we're having the breakfast because we want to honor mothers like RIZPAH, like myself, who have lost sons whose lives were been taken. And not just sons and daughters. LA is full of, and I don't have to tell you all that, full of families who have lost children to violence on all these levels, right? Whether it's gun violence, stabbings, gang violence, whatever, street violence, all the names, right? And many of whom have not received justice. Our family was blessed in that we were able to get justice for our son, but so many families have not. And so the breakfast is an opportunity not only to gather together in community, share our stories, be in community with people who have a similar experience. One of the things that we have found and I found in my journey is it can be isolating because nobody else really has this experience. I don't have any other girlfriends that most of my friends I've had for over 20 years who have been down this road, right? So it can be quite isolating. It can become very lonely. And so part of why we're doing the breakfast is to build community. RIZPAH was by herself. She was out there fanning away vultures alone. And so one of the things that when we lean into the story, we lean into nobody should have to take this journey by themselves, right? Even though some people do tend to mourn alone, but it's important that we create community because RIZPAH was by herself. And so she didn't have, like I said, she didn't have a team. She didn't have an entourage. There was no, there weren't many women out there with her. There weren't other mothers out there with her. It was RIZPAH by herself. And again, this journey of losing a child can be very isolating. It can be very lonely. And as a mother, I'm speaking about mothers, but we certainly recognize that fathers are going through the same thing. And what we have decided that the event that we're doing this year, it's a launch event, it's a pilot event, but it is the first of many to come. And so our next gathering, it's going to be for fathers and mothers. So don't beat me up, fellas. We're thinking about you. We love you, and we recognize that you are also going through this, and it's not just the mothers. But as a mother, I'm leaning into ministering to mothers at this point. But we recognize, and so we see you, I see you, and I know you're there. I know you're hurting. I know you're going through it too. And we're going to create space for our brothers as well. So RIZPAH's out there by herself. So part of why we're doing the gathering, again, is to create community. A community with people who are having similar experiences. And again, maybe your child's life wasn't taken, or maybe someone life wasn't taken in a violent way or through some kind of violence, but maybe something else has happened, right? And so we're doing the breakfast for that community because it is a very difficult thing as a parent to lose a child. And I haven't overcome. I'm on this eternal healing journey like so many others. The second thing is we want to honor the lives of those who have gone on, right? We want to create space. And so at our breakfast, mothers will be able to share their stories of their child or their children, because some mothers have lost more than one child, and which is also a problem that we have in our community. We have mothers who have lost all their children, all their sons or their daughters, or their sons and daughters, to street violence, to gun violence. And so we want to create space for the honoring. And that was part of why RIZPAH sat out there. She didn't want her sons' bodies to be dishonored by being ravished by vultures, right? And we can understand that. She didn't want their bodies to be, made a mockery of as they sat out there exposed to the elements. And so we're creating space for community. We're creating space for remembering and honoring and celebrating life and lifting up the stories that keep us going, the stories that help us to smile, the stories that bring good memories, right? But this is also going to be a time of empowerment, right? Because what we recognize in community is that we have to do something with our grief and our pain. One of the things that I have found to be very healing, and this is true of a lot of other mothers that I talk to and do ministry with, is that there is something empowering about taking the pain we've experienced, taking the journey that we're experiencing, and doing something with it, right? And this is for anyone that's watching, right? Whatever grief you may be dealing with, whatever tragedy you might be dealing with, that one of the ways we move through that to a healthy place is doing something with the pain, doing something with what we've been through, doing something with the experience, doing something that can be of blessing or of benefit or something meaningful. I like that word, meaningful. That's a word that has become elevated for me in these last 5 years, but doing something meaningful. And so that's what I'm attempting to do, doing something meaningful with my grief, my story, my journey, but also creating a space where other mothers and other families can think about how they too can empower and be empowered and not just be in grief. And so when we look at the story of Rizpah, she was disempowered, right? They took her sons. She didn't have a say-so. And if you think about the culture of the time, women didn't have much say-so about what was happening to them or to their families and to their children. And so Rizpah was disempowered. They took her sons. She didn't have an opportunity to argue for her sons or argue the situation. I'm sure she did as a human being, but she was disempowered because they took her sons. And so we want to give power back. And it's disempowering for a lot of people when you lose a child, because one of the things you think about is like, what could I have done different? And there's no way to not think that. There's no way to not deal with that. Like, what could I have done different? And so this will also be a time of empowerment to encourage moms, encourage families to think about what I can do with what I've been through. That's something that I ask God about all the time. It's like, God, what do you want me to do with this? That was one of my first questions right after my son's life was taken. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this, right? What am I supposed to do with this? And so it's about returning power, right? Moving from disempowered to empowered. So that's also why we're doing the breakfast. And then to offer a space for healing, which is the big part, right? I am on a forever healing journey. So when people ask me, why is your hair pink? My hair has been pink since November 2018. And it's because I'm on a forever healing journey. And people often ask me, well, are you ever going to change your color? I don't know. At this point, no. Right now, no. Sometimes people think it's because I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I'm not a breast cancer survivor. I've never had breast cancer, and I thank God for that. But pink is the color of healing and wellness. So it's a feminine color for healing and wellness, but it can apply to anybody. It just is a color for healing. It represents a color. The color represents healing and wellness, right? And so my hair is pink is because I'm on this forever journey of healing and wellness, right? And so the third reason why we're doing the breakfast is to create a space of healing, right? Where mothers can come together, families can come together, and really be in community with other empowered individuals, be in community with others who are attempting to do something, make something meaningful out of this, and heal at the same time, and heal through this process, because we're all on this like forever healing journey, right? And so this is why we call ourselves, why we're breakfast is called Sisters of Rizpah, right? We are Sisters of Rizpah. We are where Rizpah has been. And what we know is that Rizpah's healing can't even begin to start until her sons receive a just burial. And so not only when David comes to give the sons a just burial, does it create an opportunity for Rizpah to heal, but also the Bible says that the land was healed. Now let me just offer this. I do believe in cities like LA, right, where there are numerous cases that have gone unsolved, cases that have still remained a mystery. Our land cannot fully heal until the lives of so many sons and daughters, until their justice has been achieved for these lives, right? Until we make it a concerted effort to put the resources behind getting justice for so many sons and daughters. And you might be saying, well, Reverend Najuma, they're doing their best. Nah, I've had some conversations. I've been on the inside, and a lot of times, a lot of resources are not being put into making sure that families are getting justice for their deceased loved ones, right? And so we know that resources come down to money. And so when we talk about resources, we're talking about staff, we're talking about people who are put on the task of figuring out detectives and whatever. But that requires funding, that requires a budget, that requires money. And so one of the things that we're learning is that there are not ample resources put on the cases of so many sons and daughters whose lives have been taken to get justice for those families. And so that's where we have the hashtags, right? Hashtag justice for so-and-so. Hashtag justice for so-and-so, right? And again, I'm blessed. Our family's blessed. We were able to get justice for our son. But that's not the case for so many families. So also part of why we're gathering together is to not only just put our prayers together for justice, but put our critical thinking together. Like, how do we move as a body of women, families, fathers, mothers, to ensure or to push the agenda to get justice for those families where they have not received justice, right? How do we do that? And so part of what will also happen at this conversation, at the breakfast, is a conversation around that. Like, who still hasn't gotten justice? Who needs to get justice? How do we ensure that? And I do believe, similar to the story with Rizpah and David, the land cannot be fully healed until we've got justice for so many of these families. And some things may remain an eternal mystery. But where we can push the Davids, right? Where we can speak to the Davids, where we can work with the Davids and get justice for these sons and daughters these families who have not received justice. This is about creating space for that conversation as well. I've been blessed to now serve on the Victims of Crime Advocacy Council with our DA here in Los Angeles. And these are the issues that we are raising, right? And because, part of the DA's job is to make sure that justice is served in these cases and so many other cases. Of course, they got a big job on their hands. But so that is Sisters of Rizpah. It's an opportunity for community, because Rizpah didn't have community. It's an opportunity for empowerment, because Rizpah was disempowered. It's an opportunity to honor the lives of our loved ones whose lives have been taken, because we don't want them memories to be dishonored. We want them to be remembered, life celebrated, but also an opportunity for healing. Healing individually, healing as a community, healing as family, but also doing the work so that justice can be served, so that the land can heal. I'm a believer that LA can't fully heal until justice is served for all the many ways in which so many families have not received justice for their loved ones whose lives have been taken. It is a task. It is a big task, but it's a task that we must hold even our local governments, like the David, responsible to attend to. And so, Sisters of Rizpah, we're having our breakfast, and we want, if you are a mom and this has been your experience where the life of one of your children or child or children has been taken, join us on the 28th. Now, for those that are on our YouTube, hey YouTubers, they're going to put in the chat a link where you can register, because it is registration mandatory. Those that are watching, that are listening on iHeart, iTunes, Accelerated Radio, listen, go to my Instagram page at RevJuju. Hit the link tree. In the link tree, there's a tab for Sisters of RIZPAH breakfast. So join us. Come on out. It is very limited seating. So if you do intend to join us, you must register. And it is for mothers who have lost their children. So I'm not trying to exclude anyone, but we're working with the community first, the community that's most impacted first. And then we'll broaden out. Again, this is just year one, first annual. But we look forward to next year. We look forward to next year to opening up to the community, opening up to mothers and fathers. But this year, we're just doing a small, intimate gathering, very limited seating. So we want to invite you to join us, especially if you're a mom who's had a similar experience. And we want you to go. If you're on my YouTubers, you're going to click the link in the description when we put it up. And then all of you that are watching or listening on iHeart, iTunes, Accelerated Radio, go to my Instagram page at RevJuju. Follow me. Then click on the link tree in my bio, and you'll see a tab there, a button there where you can register for Sisters of RIZPAH breakfast, the Sisters of RIZPAH breakfast, and that's happening October 28th. Now, just in case you're wondering why the date October 28th, as some of you may know, but some of you might not know, my oldest son was shot October 27th. He stayed in unconscious and then passed away on October 29th. And so we have decided that year 5, which would be this month, year 5, we would begin, because 5 is the number of grace, we would begin to use this time, what I call my personal time of remembrance, the 27th through 29th. So usually I shut down and don't do a whole lot and just kind of spend those 3 days remembering, that we would do something meaningful. Remember, we talked about asking God, what do you want me to do with this? And so this is one of those things. And so part of why this Sisters of RIZPAH breakfast was created is because this is also my way of healing, but also doing something meaningful with such a terrible time, right? So we're going to kick it off. We're going to kick it off small, but we're going to kick it off because I'm also trying to be obedient to God, right? I'm also trying to be obedient to God. And I was like, what, God? Are you sure? God was like, I'm sure. You got this, and I got you. So that's what we're doing. And we want you to come and join us if this, again, has been your experience. And listen to all my YouTubers. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And then there will be a link placed in the description, in the caption below, and you can go and register through there. Or if you go to my Instagram page at RevJuju, RevJuju, click the link tree, and you will see the tab there for the Sisters of RIZPAH breakfast. And again, it's very limited seating. So if you want to join us, if you're a mom, if you know a mom, please register as soon as possible because it's very limited seating. I can't say that enough. But I thank you all for listening tonight as we share a little bit about RIZPAH's story and how crucial her story is to a reality that we face a lot of times in our inner cities, our children's lives being taken. And we know RIZPAH's the situation was a bit more political, but the reality is still the same. The lives of her children were taken. And we see that happening in our world on a grander scale, and I'm not going to get into it here, but we see the lives of so many children being taken right before our eyes, all on social media, all in the news. And if you live in inner city like South LA, where I live, we see it. Unfortunately, my son, his life was taken in Las Vegas, but guess what? Vegas is also an inner city, a metropolitan place, and a lot of lives are taken. I believe the weekend that my son was shot and killed in Vegas, there were 4 other shootings that led to someone being killed just in Vegas alone. So this is a reality in some of our communities. And so God places in his word the story of RIZPAH. And I believe it is to let us know that he sees this issue. He knows this issue. He cares about this issue. And he has placed Rizpah in his text so we too could care about this issue and know that God also cares about this issue. And he offers for us the question, what you gonna do about it? So that's what we're going to do about it. We're going to have a Sisters of Rizpah breakfast. So I look forward to meeting some of you and joining us. And thank you for being tuned in on air with your girl, Dr. Najuma. And we will be back next Sunday with an amazing show. But tonight I want to just take this time with you all in this intimate conversation. And then we'll be back next week with another exciting show, another great conversation. My guests next week, can't wait for you to meet them. But again, if you're a mom and this has been your experience, we want you to go to the link. You can go to my Instagram page, Rev Juju, click the link tree, click the tab, register, and join us. And it's very limited seating. I can't say it enough, so make sure you register. And to all my YouTubers, thank you for joining me live tonight. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. All right. So y'all have an amazing evening. It's been great chatting with you. Thank you for being tuned in. Thank you for allowing me to share about Rizpah's story. It is a story that is often overlooked. Very few people know about it, but it's an important story. And there's more to it, but I had to just paraphrase for tonight's context. So we'll see you all next week. Have an amazing next Sunday. Have an amazing week. Thank you for being tuned in. And we'll see y'all next time. We out. Peace.